Most producers think that you need crazy talent or some big placements to make any money from music, but that's just not true. There are producers right now who aren't industry famous, they aren't going viral, but they're quietly building consistent long-term income from their music production. And in this video, I'm going to show you how a producer is actually doing this so that you'll know exactly how you can do it for yourself. I'm Liam, aka LLB. I've been a full-time music producer for over 6 years, and producers hire me to help level up their production and actually turn this into an income. Let's break this down. So let me introduce you to Daryl.
So I go by Juice. I've been producing for 2 years now, and I'm based out of Atlanta.
His story is one that I really wanted to share today because it genuinely represents what's possible for music producers in 2026 if you approach it the right way. Daryl did what most producers dream about, but never actually do. He quit his job and just went all in on music. He had some savings that he could live off, so yeah, he just kind of took the leap and gave himself about a year to try and make this work.
I tried producing a few years prior, and I already had my career going on, and I just kind of used that as an excuse to not do it, and then it kept coming back up. I kept always opening up the door and trying. Once I got into that headspace, and I saw that I was continually doing it every day, regardless of if it was good or not, regardless of the outcome, I was like, okay. I just was like at a point where I was like, yo, I just need to take it seriously.
Now that takes guts, but guts alone isn't really going to get him paid, which is why we start with phase 1. So the first thing we had to lock in when Daryl came into the program was, okay, where is his skills actually at? Because the mistake I see a ton of producers make is that they decide they want to turn music into a career and they immediately try and go and get work, go and get clients before they've actually got good at the craft of producing. And the problem with that is that you can't really hide underdeveloped skills in this industry. The moment an artist sits down in a session with you or you send a mix back to them, they're gonna know straight away, they're just gonna hear it. And if it's not at the level that they need, you get a bad reputation, making it harder and harder to get work, and you end up chasing work rather than attracting it. And that uphill battle is what kills producers' confidence before they even ever get started. Now, when I looked at Daryl's production, he had taste, he had good ideas, but the mixes were kind of muddy, overproduced. So for the first 3 months, that's what we focused on exclusively, just building the foundation, getting the product to where it needed to be.
I would want to say that around the time, I guess the first assignment where I had to do a remake, when I saw that I was able to do that remake that well, that shot my confidence from like down here to all the way up here. And then also just constantly getting that feedback, working on what you were suggesting I should do, and notice the difference in my sound. So it boosted my confidence, basically.
And yeah, 3 months of locking in, working hard, being coachable, which is really important. And on the other side of that, Daryl came out as a completely different producer. And that confidence really changes the way you carry yourself when you do start approaching artists, which we'll come back to a little bit later. But he can have all the skills in the world, make the craziest music, but without this next phase, he's not going to be able to turn any of that skill into income. Now, real quick, just think about the last time you bought something on Amazon. Did you just add it to the cart straight away? Probably not. You scrolled down, you looked at the reviews, checked the photos. You did your due diligence. I can't say that word, due diligence. You did your due diligence. I can't do it. You did your due diligence. There we go. Got it. Same with the producers who are interested in hiring me. They check the testimonials, they'll make sure everything's legit before they reach out. Artists do the exact same thing with us producers. Before they've even replied to a DM, they've gone and checked your page to see if you're legit. And if your page looks like you're not serious, then the conversation's over before it's even started. So we're getting to phase 2, which was getting his portfolio ready. So with Daryl, we locked in his Instagram, not to go viral, it's just there for him to build a proper storefront. A place where if an artist lands on his profile, then they can see immediately that, okay, this guy is legit, he's really passionate about music, and most importantly, he's really professional too. So we sorted his profile picture, tightened up his bio, and had him post around 6 to 8 reels and carousels, just showcasing his production work. That's it. When your page is clear and your work actually speaks for itself, then networking becomes a completely different experience. You're not begging for attention, you're just opening the door and letting the work do the talking.
I felt like I looked the part, you know what I mean? It's not like grasping for air, just reaching out and someone sees your profile and they're like, all right, this guy's not serious. I felt like my profile looks more serious. So yeah, people usually when they're talking about this topic, they try to make it seem like you have to do 5 freaking TikToks a day and do all this extra stuff. It's overwhelming, especially being a producer who just cares about making the music. But you made it to where it made sense to just, hey, do it when you can and in this way. And you only need these numbers. You only need this type of engagement. You really don't have to strike gold and hit viral in order to see any results or see anything in return. So it made it easier for me, for sure.
But building your storefront will be kind of useless if you don't then know what to do next, which is when we then moved on to phase 3. All right, so now we've got the skills, we've got the storefront. Phase 3 is actually going out and getting work. And again, this is where a lot of producers fall down. The typical approach looks a little bit something like this. DM 100 artists, send a beat link, and say something like, check these out, bro, these are fire, let me know what you think. Wait for a couple of days, you get ignored, then you DM another 100 artists, rinse and repeat. And look, I'm not saying that selling beats like that doesn't work, but you'd have to do a serious amount of volume of selling these $20, $30, $40 beats just to make an actual viable income as a producer. You know, it's kind of like filling up a bath with a teaspoon. It's gonna take forever.
The term that's been thrown around recently is the difference between a beat maker and a producer. I guess I finally shifted to thinking like a producer. You know what it is? My lack of not knowing how to work with an artist made me fear working with an artist and not care about working with artists. That's exactly what it is. Because like I said, all I cared about was just selling beats and then, you know, doing content. Once you showed me that this is how you would reach out to artists and this is how important it is to actually work with artists and develop that skill, it kind of reframed my thinking to realize that, you know, I should actually strive for doing that.
So the approach we took with Daryl was a little bit different. Instead of just trying to make a quick sale, the goal was to go and find artists that he genuinely resonated with a similar audience size, similar vibe, and just start a real conversation. Actually show some interest in what they're working on. Ask some questions, you know, just be a human being. And when the timing felt right, get out of the DMs and onto a call or an in-person session. Because that's where you actually find out, you know, what are the artist's needs? What are their goals? You know, what are they actually struggling with? And if what you do as a producer can help with that, then you don't have to sell anymore. You're just solving their problems.
It was one DM. We did have a general like conversation for a good minute, just talking about music in general. It wasn't necessarily business first and me being aggressive and trying to do a sale or have something going on. It was just simply, let me listen to your project. Here's my opinion on the project. Here's what I heard. And we just were talking about music. I took that as a sign like, oh, just keep going. Like somebody will eventually realize that you have a passion for it and you have the ear for like understanding like how you can help them, and then they'll, you know, move forward with the business.
So when you position yourself as someone who genuinely wants to help an artist reach their goals, not your goals, the conversation is completely different. You stop being another producer just in the DMs all the time, and you become someone who they actually want to work with. And all of that work led to a moment that I think perfectly shows what this process is capable of producing.
It was literally like, I think a week after you helped me with my Instagram profile, I posted a video and he reached out. He was like, hey, I'm working with an artist. I'm basically the manager for him and we need some work. He was like, yo, do you know how to record and mix? I was like, yeah. We started doing all that. One thing led to another. Eventually he was like, yeah, let's work on a project.
Daryl started throwing himself out there, getting into sessions. And at the end of one of these sessions, he ended up connecting with a couple of artists who were working on an EP, but they were just struggling to get consistent production, consistent engineering, mixing. And for Daryl, that was a green light.
Because it was a few things that I noticed. One, they were just grabbing whatever YouTube beats they can find to put the project together, so there was no cohesion with their projects. Two, the engineer that they were working with to record and mix and stuff like that, he didn't really take them seriously. He kind of was like mixing the vocals just raw, like it barely had any auto-tune, any reverb on it. Like he wasn't doing a good job. So me just learning how to mix and record, I didn't have that much confidence in it, but I was like, I mean, it's a spot that needs to be filled, you know what I mean? Like I can do it. I can take it that serious. And once I showed that I know how to make beats, number one, and number two, I can actually give y'all structure to the project and it sounds cohesive. It sounds like it should be as a project. So that was that.
He didn't pitch them or try and sell them a beat. He listened, he understood exactly what they needed, and then made an offer that was built around actually solving their problems that they were facing.
How did you actually pitch yourself to them? You know, what did that conversation look like?
It was more so along the lines of thinking about artists that we grew up listening to. I mentioned Future, I mentioned Young Thug, and told them that they got their start and found their sound through working with a producer, somebody that you can consistently work with. So once I made that pitch, like I'm that guy to be consistently working with y'all and developing y'all sound and actually care about developing the artists, the rest was already, you know, a selling point. The beats were fire. It was just the mentality that I pushed towards them and they bought into it.
And yeah, he's now producing, engineering, mixing and mastering the entire project. And he's doing this for around $2,000 to $3,000. He's charging by the hour, so just depends on how many sessions he does to get everything done. Now, is $2,000 to $3,000 a good price for that kind of project? Not quite, it definitely could be more than that, but Daryl kind of knew this going into it in the first place. This was his first project going in at this scale, so the real value wasn't just the money. It was more so just to experience going through that whole process at that kind of level from start to finish. And that experience alone will get him to a point that when he goes into another project, he'll be able to price himself with full confidence. So here's what I want you to take from Daryl's story. He didn't get there by cutting corners. He didn't try and skip building the foundation and go straight for the bag. He did the reps. He did the grunt work behind closed doors first. And because of that, when he started putting himself out there, he wasn't like hoping and praying that people would maybe overlook his weaknesses because he had none to hide. And that quiet confidence, the kind that actually comes from knowing your product is good, is what changes the entire dynamic of how an artist perceives you. It's what turns outreach into attraction. And if you're watching this and you find yourself where Daryl was at the start, skills need sharpening, no clear path of turning your music into an income, then my mentorship program might be exactly what you need. The link to apply is down in the description below. Take a look, see if it's the right fit for where you're trying to go. And if you want to see another producer story like this one, next video is right here.
My closing statement though, real quick, whoever sees this, if you think about signing up, you gotta believe in yourself, bro. Lock in with that goal, that dream, that vision, and then sign up. You gotta actually do the work in order to progress and actually do what you wanna do. That's my closing little statement. I had to throw that out there. And you gotta do the work in order to see the results. What's the saying? When a student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.